Donald Trump turned himself in Thursday night to the Fulton County Jail in Atlanta. The former president was booked, fingerprinted, and photographed within an hour of arriving in Georgia. This is his booking photo, otherwise known as a mugshot. He was released on a $200,000 bond before getting back on his plane and heading back to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Trump continued to assert he did nothing wrong. He also called the case a, quote, travesty of justice. The former president has been charged with 13 felony counts over alleged efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. That includes election fraud and RICO, or racketeering charges, and multiple counts related to conspiracy. 18 other co-defendants are charged in the Fulton County indictment. 11 of them have already surrendered, including Trump's former attorneys John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani, and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has given the rest of the co-defendants until noon on Friday to turn themselves in. She also requested an October trial date for all those named in the indictment. For more, let's bring in CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, earlier Trump said on the tarmac, and this is a version of a variety of defenses he's given, he said, quote, "We have every right to challenge an election that we think is dishonest." So how does that read to you? And what's the response to that from the legal system?
So the response to that from the legal system is you absolutely have the right to file suits. And he filed, and his surrogates filed, about 62 post-election suits. I think they lost 61 and a half, basically, of those suits. And certainly, if you think there truly is some sort of fraud, if you think there is some sort of problem with an election, you can go to the courts. And he did, and he lost. What you can't do is concoct a scheme where you try and get people who are not actually electors, who can't actually vote in the Electoral College, to go vote in the Electoral College. What you can't do is say to the vice president, who has no constitutional authority to stop the counting of the Electoral College votes, to try and pressure him into doing so. What you also can't do is file frivolous suits. And John, that's why part of what we're seeing, in addition to this case, is cases against the attorneys who filed these suits. That is serious. That is rare. But what we're seeing is people like John Eastman, people like Sidney Powell, people like Jenna Ellis, they are facing complaints from state bars based on filing those suits. So in the abstract, can you challenge an election? Of course. But let's look at what actually happened here and what prosecutors have accused the former president of doing.
Jessica, what's the line between being frivolous and just being a bad lawyer? Let's say I'm just really not very good at my job and I file a lawsuit. Can I be penalized for that, or is there a little wrinkle that needs to be in there? I know there's some allegations that they knowingly put some things on these filings that they knew not to be true, but what's the line there?
Yes, and I think you were exactly right to separate those two things. There's a difference between filing a suit, which you can file, and then making false statements in court. False statements like, we know that there is fraud, or proof of fraud is absolutely coming. But you asked me, what's this line between I'm just a bad lawyer, I'm going to file a lot of suits and see if something sticks to the wall, basically like pasta. And there are lines. You have to have a good faith belief that your client could succeed. And you don't have to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but you have to think that if the allegations in the complaint are true and you believe them to be true, then your client can succeed. So we do have a standard for this.
Jessica Levinson, thank you as always.